Alright. First and foremost, I'm going to say all honor and praises be unto Yahweh Shemel Shai. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone, and shalom to all the sincere Akim out there teaching out there on the highways and byways in truth and sincerity. And today's installment of mystical miracles of the scriptures, we're going to speak on one of my favorite stories in the scriptures, man. Probably my most favorite story in the scriptures, and that's the story of who? Of Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego, man. You know, and basically what we're going to speak about is this great miracle that took place, which really it's going to apply onto us right now, man. You know, how we can apply the story is to understand that look, man, if we keep pushing this word, if we keep doing what we have to do, the Lord's gonna strengthen our faith, and in the face of adversity, you know, in the most tight, you know, situation that seems impossible, the Lord will take care of His men, man. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 2:10. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded, or did any abide in His fear and was forsaken, or whom did He ever despise that called upon Him, man? And that prime example is what the story of Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego, man. You know, that's like one of my favorite stories in the scriptures, man. So with that, we just gonna get the story and basically speak about how we can, you know, think upon these things, you know, and apply it for the times approaching us, you know. So actually, yeah, I'm gonna get the story on that now. This is the book of, I believe it's Daniel chapter 3. Alright. It says this is chapter 3 from the top. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes and the governors and the captains and the judges and the counselors and the sheriffs and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And if you skip down, no, actually keep going. It says, then the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, and the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before that image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried out aloud, and it says, to you it commanded, all people and nations and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psaltery, the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Right? And it says, and whoso falleth not down and worship it shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a fiery furnace. And how we can apply that is what during the time of which the RFID chip gets pushed out, man. You know, that's basically the exact same thing, because they experienced their time of temptation then, but like, you know, now the time of temptation that's about to come upon this earth, the same thing is going to take place. You know, where they basically push everyone to take the RFID chip, which is what the mark of the beast, man. And it says, right? It says, right? If we go to verse 12, it says, "There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, "Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up?" And it says, "Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psaltery, the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast that same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands?" Again, I'm bringing out the story because that's the same thing that's approaching us, man. No, they had to bow down to actual image during that time period. But now they're gonna try and, you know, have us bow down to the system and take that chip. But if you do, you're going to be destroyed by the Lord. If you don't, you will be in tribulation, you know. But as you can see, they're actually are about to get cast into a furnace of fire. Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our power, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king." So back then, they had faith, right? That, look, man, we ain't gonna bow down, man, you know, man, onto that statue you've made. And they spoke before the actual king and said, "Look, we ain't gonna serve that statue," you know. Then but then if you continue on, it says, "But if not, be it known unto thee that, O God, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." So they told him, "Look, man, whether we get saved, all right, from this furnace, or whether or not, yeah, we won't serve you, man." That's faith right there, man. Then Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it want to be heated. So we told him, look, furnace it, man. You know, and he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast in the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Right? Therefore, because the king's command was urgent and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego. So the king was so pissed off, right? He told him to add more coals to make that fire even more hotter than it could be. That the actual men who put them in the furnace died. Not the actual men who actually was in the fire. It was so hot that these men who simply just pushing mans into the fire died because of how hot the fire was. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego, fell down bound in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, was astonished because after they actually got cast in fire, it was like, wait, oh shit, what the hell is happening here? Right? Because if you read it, it says, and rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, wait, did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, true, O king. So they was like, yeah, of course we did. We put 3 men there. And it says, he answered and said, lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. So they got casted into a burning fire, man. They actually got pushed into a burning pit of fire. All the demon had to do was bow down into the image and be cool. But guess what? They had faith. And in the midst of a burning fire, the Lord took care of them, man. In fire. And that's the same faith and mentality that us have to have during this time of trouble. Because in this time of trouble that's approaching us, you're going to be in tight and impossible seeming events, man. You're actually going to experience stuff where like you just know that you're through. I ain't going to make it. But the faith upon you will ensure that if you're of the elect, you get saved, man. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God. Are we not the exact same thing? It says, Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth hither. Then Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and the princes and the governors and the captains and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed. So even the actual hair didn't even get burned by the fire, man. Neither was their coats changed, nor the smell of fire passed upon them. So the fire didn't even affect them to the point you couldn't smell nothing, man. Right? Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego, who had sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own, Therefore, I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which shall speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshech, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after any sort. So the heathen king passed the order. He was like, look, man, anyone in this realm, man, who speaks anything against who? Yahweh Shai shall be cut into pieces, and that their own houses shall be overthrown, man. And the reason why I brought this story again is to show that this scripture is truly true. This is Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Because what does the scriptures say? And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, man. So that's why it's good, you know, to read such stories and things as such, man, because in order to be stable in those times, the actual Lord has to what? Give you faith, man, and such, you know, stories as these strengthen your faith, man, you know. So, you know, really that's the point. You know, and with that, I'm gonna say all honor and praises be unto Yahweh Shai. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone. And with that, I'm gonna say shalom.